She would be on the side of him crying sometimes, and he would just look at her like, okay. What is up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. It's your girl JD here, back with another video. So today I got another show that I wanted to talk about with you guys and do my makeup as well, because I actually have to go somewhere after this. My friend is doing some things for her birthday today, so I wanted to look decent so we could take some pictures and look decent together. Today, the show that I really wanted to discuss with you guys was Put a Ring on It. I don't see a lot of people talking about it here on YouTube. It's usually like Real Housewives and, you know, the bigger reality shows that's been around for like a while, those franchises. But this particular show is over on Oprah Winfrey's network, or better known as OWN. And today I'm going to be talking about their third season, because I needed a new show to binge watch. Because even though they put out the new season of Real Housewives of Potomac, I kind of want to wait until I have a good amount of episodes to watch. Let me know if y'all are like that, but I just don't like watching piece there, piece there. Like, I want to watch a chunk now, chunk later. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to just have one episode to go off of, you know? I checked the show out, and then from then on I was hooked. I could not stop watching it. I watched season after season, then I got to season 3, and that was, I think, the most recent one. I don't know if they're working on or if they started putting out episodes of season 4 yet. I have no idea, but I just know season 3 is the last season that I saw and was able to watch. So here we are. Really quickly, I'm going to introduce the couples, which obviously if you watch season 3, you would know them. We have 3 couples on the show, and it is Otis and Charlana, or Charlena, aka Charlie. I think they call her Charlie on the show. Then we have Kenneth and Shorty, and then we also have Alfonso and Shay. So if you guys have watched the show, I'm pretty sure you're already familiar with the premise, the whole reason for the show in the first place, but clearly you could tell, put a ring on it. They're trying to decide if they want to get engaged or not. They pretty much have reached a crossroads. Maybe one of them wants to get married, you know, wants to take that next step, but the other one isn't ready. They feel as though they still have some issues or things that they need to work out. And some couples come to this show, I'm not gonna lie, they would think they're in a good place and then leave in a totally different place. The show is hosted by Nicole LaBeach. I believe she is in the department of like life coaching. I don't think she's like a therapist of sorts necessarily in terms of like a licensed therapist, but y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I think she's like more of like a life coach. She is the one that is pretty much guiding these couples through their transition and trying to figure out what are we doing, basically. Okay, so season 3, what really made me kind of want to particularly take a look at season 3, because season 1, I'm not gonna lie, it was kind of boring. And then the couples that ended up not really bothering with marriage, I wasn't really shocked. So yeah, season 2, it was kind of like, yeah, I expected this, you know, but season 3, I was like, it's getting a little spicy up in here, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, this is the perfect season to talk to you guys about, all right? Let's hop right into it. We're gonna talk about each individual couple, my thoughts, what went down during the season, all that good stuff. I'm gonna start off with this foundation real quick. One other thing I forgot to mention about the show is that during this process of them trying to figure out if they want to get engaged or not, they're dating other people. After each date, Nicole, she asked them, hey, what are y'all gonna do? Like, are y'all gonna go for another date, or do you feel like you need to see another person? And then sometimes, depending on where the couple is at, she would be like, okay, yeah, no, y'all need to work on yourselves. And I'm just like, thank you for noticing, because sometimes it would reach some points and like bumps in the road, and I'm just like, no, I'm gonna need them to figure their ish out. They need to chat. They don't need to be seeing no other people, you know, it'll just make it worse. The first couple we're gonna go into is Otis and Charlie. So I am not one, all right, to bash one particular side. It's just me going into what I had seen and what I think about what I had seen, you know, displayed. When it came to Otis, I think he definitely had this air of arrogance about him, that he's always right. And he definitely did a lot of gaslighting during the show as well. And it would make me very upset as well, because I'm not gonna lie, I had to deal with a lot of people gaslighting me throughout my life. So it really brought back flashbacks and memories of just terrible friendships, relationships with people. Hit a soft spot. So Otis really set me off, I'm not gonna lie, because I just saw things within him that I'd seen in other people throughout my life that it just ticked me off. Almost every time Charlie would try to bring up a problem that, you know, she saw within their relationship or that he was doing specifically, he would always try to come back and be like, well, you do this, what about this, what you do this, you say this, and it's just like, she talking about you right now. I have to be honest though, I used to do similar things too. If I have someone coming to me with an issue that they realize about me or something that they don't really particularly like, I would be like, well, you know, what about you? You know, you do this too. So yeah, it's just like kind of like a lack of accountability type of thing. So I kind of related to him a little bit, and also there was parts of him where I was like, ooh, that's just, yeah, no. You know? When Charlie went on her first date, that first episode, oh, he lost it. He was telling her, you need to go take a shower. She came in with flowers. He threw it in the garbage. I was like, you're being so petty. Oh my gosh. Even though I do think Otis is a gaslighter, and he did say some things throughout the season where I was like, sir, really? Really? But Charlie, if I'm going to be honest, she is very thin-skinned some of the times. She would get offended sometimes about things that I'm like, I don't even think he meant it that way, but okay. She does have a tendency of overreacting. Like that one time, I think all the couples had came to talk to Dr. Nicole. I forgot to mention she's Dr. Nicole. They came to talk to her during their little meetup, and I think on one of Otis's dates, one of the very first dates he went on, but she ended up coming back in the reunion. We're gonna talk about that because it got real heated. But anyways, according to Otis, he decides to tell everybody, along with Charlie, that, hey, I got the number for this girl I went on a date on. And it's just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You crossing the line. From all of the seasons, there was always one or two people or two persons that broke the rules. Especially season 2. There was, I can't remember the name of the guy, but I'll probably put it on the screen, from one of the couples, and he decided to actually go out and sleep with the person that he went on a date with. And it was just like, what the hell is going on? You on a show with the person you in a relationship with to figure out if y'all want to marry each other, and you still sleeping with people? Break up. Please break up. Y'all need to just end this. Like, clearly this is toxic. Let this go. Let it go, please. So yeah, I think Otis, he crossed the line when he got the girl's number, and then he started messaging her. He said it was about some stuff about them going to the same school or something and knowing the same people. I was like, sir, that sounds like some BS. Cut it out. I'm not gonna lie, that would have made me really upset. I would have been really, really pissed about that, but I wouldn't have been so pissed to the point where I'm still yelling at him when the other couples are trying to talk. It was just like, girl, calm down. Y'all could talk about this behind closed doors away from these other couples, because you looking crazy, you know? Can't remember if that was the episode or not where she ended up leaving. Like, she just took the car, left him there. I was like, what the hell is going on? But yeah, but that was the first couple. You know, they had their issues like all the rest of them. Don't worry, I'm gonna get into it. The next couple we're gonna go into is Alfonso and Shay. So Alfonso and Shay already, apparently before the show, they had already been engaged, but they called it off because I think Shay said that she found out that Alfonso was doing a little bit of side gigging, aka seeing other people or talking to other people. At least that's what he says, talking to them. I'm like, sir, even then, why are you talking? Because according to Shay, it got pretty intense, those conversations, you know? I think she said there was one conversation where some woman had said that Alfonso was the love of her life. And then on top of that, now, according to Shay, she also has to deal with his baby mama because Alfonso didn't do the right thing of severing ties in terms of a romantic relationship with his baby mother before moving on with Shay. And of course, you know, naturally they have a child together, so they still have to see each other and they still have to have a co-parenting balanced relationship. You know, there have to be, of course, boundaries, but at the same time, Alfonso didn't bother setting them. His mom was just taking the side of his baby mama, And on top of that, Shay just felt very excluded from the family. I feel very empathetic towards her because I feel as though you should be able to feel connected to someone's family, because if you don't, how do you become a part of their family? So I'm kind of with her, and you know, her being stuck, like them calling that off. They was about to get married even, and she was like, yeah, nah, there's so many things we need to work out. They was coming in with a lot of baggage, child, a lot of baggage. But one thing I have to say about Shay though, there was one episode in particular where they were on dates, okay, with different people, and they were supposed to act as though they don't really see the other person. They're not supposed to pay attention to them. They're supposed to pay attention to their date, but they're in the same building or same space on this date. Shay, I guess, thought that Alfonso's date was saying something at one point to her that was disrespectful, I guess, and she just got kind of turned. So from then on, that date just went downhill. It was about to start tussling, and Alfonso had to step in and be like, let's go outside. So Shay, I think, really needs to learn how to contain herself in that area. But Alfonso, again, also has his issues as well. But moving on to the last couple, Shorty and Kenneth. So Shorty and Kenneth, they did not come in, I feel as though, with the most problems, at least that we saw. You know what I mean? It just seemed very like, we just have a few things we need to discuss. But, you know, for the most part, we're good. We're in a good spot. But no, child. They ended up having the worst blow up, but we're gonna get into that in a minute. From the first date, in terms of Shorty anyway, her first date was actually with Hollywood. If you guys watched season 1, he actually was on season 1 with his girlfriend at the time, who, geez, I can't remember the name of either, I'm sorry. But anyways, Hollywood was on the show for season 1, and he ended up proposing to his girlfriend on that season, but shortly after that, I believe they decided to go their separate ways, because you could tell from the jump, like, they was having issues. So Hollywood came back, he went on a date with Shorty. You know, she liked him. I think he had bought a necklace for her, and Kenneth lost it. He kind of threw it on the floor. I think he threw it in the trash, kind of like Otis did with the flowers that Charlie had gotten. And I was like, what is going on with you men? Like, didn't y'all not sign up for this process? I was like, Jesus, y'all don't see the woman acting like that. Kenneth, when he went on his date, right before he went on it, I think they had a fight. This was the first date anyway. Him and Shorty had a fight or argument, whatever. He said he didn't really get to enjoy himself. So I think he ended up going either on a second date with the same person or a different date. I can't remember. Let's just really dive in. In terms of further details, starting again with Otis and Charlie, in terms of their communication, I think Otis, again, it's like he keeps bringing up everything that Charlie does instead of listening to Charlie. She would be on the side of him crying sometimes, and he would just look at her like, okay. You know, like that meme with the guy just like, okay. It was just so awkward most of the time, because you could clearly see Dr. Nicole would keep trying to tell him like, okay, we get your side, but sometimes you just need to listen, regardless of the gender, because I can't just say it's just guys, obviously. I feel women and men are very much so capable of being terrible listeners, okay? We're not gonna sit up here and be like, it's the guy, it's always the guy. They're just terrible listeners. No, you could always be a terrible listener, regardless. In this case, Otis was that one. He was that person, you know? And I think he was very much so stuck in his ways. But one time, I think when Otis was talking, he had mentioned something about wanting, you know, a relationship that's traditional, wanting a traditional woman, and how something about Charlie saying that she wants to be a traditional wife or whatever, but she doesn't really act like it or something like that. And I was just like, well, I mean, looking at a lot of the episodes, I get what he's saying. I get that he wants like this traditional wife or whatever, but it's just kind of like, you could be traditional but not be an a-hole. You know what I mean? Like, you could still listen to your wife. And that's what I try to stress over on my main channel, because I talk about similar things, similar topics. And I think that there's some guys that are stuck on the, I want a traditional wife. Ooh. Like I was saying, some guys are stuck on this, I want a traditional wife, I want someone who's submissive and listens and follows instructions, yada yada yada, right? And it's just like, okay, cool. But at the same time, y'all need to realize that without communication, without your wife being able to have input of some kind with the running of your household and or relationship, and possibly in the future family, how are y'all gonna have a good thing going if you don't listen to her? If she isn't able to voice her concerns, you not listening and taking any type of advice from your wife or someone who you want to be your wife, you don't take their input seriously or even consider it, you know, in terms of working on yourself, I think that's just a recipe for disaster every single time. I just personally feel that there are some toxic traits regardless of a gender. But I think with Otis, that was his toxic trait of just not listening. It was so bad. I was like, are you even in the room with everybody else and Charlie? Or is your brain somewhere else? Because I'm just like, what the hell is going on? Yeah, I think that is just his toxic trait, just my way or the highway. And it's just kind of like, nobody want to deal with that. You know, you're gonna need to work on that, okay? With Charlie, I personally feel as though she actually had quite a bit of patience, but when it ran out, honey, it ran out, okay? Like, cannot even. One thing that she could probably work on though is her, I don't want to say it's like thin-skinnedness, but there's just some points during certain conversations that her and Otis would have where I was like, girl, why are you getting mad? He's just explaining himself. Now we're gonna move on to Shay and Alfonso. I personally feel as though, even though I think in the end they did end up getting engaged, I really hope that Alfonso makes good on what he says he's going to do with regards to his relationship with his baby moms or baby mother. I think they had a discussion. There was one point when I think Shay was even trying to tell Alfonso like, hey, I really am going to need you to step up to the plate and fix some things in our relationship that you have done and caused. And he just started laughing. And I'm like, how do you laugh at a time like this? This is serious. Like, he starts laughing. I swear, if anybody starts laughing while I'm talking about something that's serious and I'm in a relationship with you, I was leaving that day. I was packing my stuff because I believe they had a house together. I was packing my stuff up and I was leaving. I think this is pretty much, for the most part, dry-ish. Yeah, dry-ish. Moving on though, there wasn't really much with those other two couples. The real couple that we need to discuss, that I really paid very close attention to, because like I said in the beginning, I thought at first they didn't really have much problems to deal with, but under the surface lied a much bigger iceberg, much bigger problem, okay? Kenneth and Shorty. In the beginning, Kenneth, he's talking about, you know, having a food blog and, you know, he's cooking for her. And you clearly see he has a passion for doing so, yada yada, right? And I think that Shorty, she has a job in media or radio, you know, that type of stuff. And she clearly makes bank on that, because from her, at least what she said a couple of times, is that she has been paying like all the bills and he's just kind of been bumbling and fumbling according to her, you know? But of course, Kenneth, you know, has his own side to the story when they reach the reunion. But we're gonna get into that, all right? I kind of want to save the reunion until the end, because there was a lot of truth bombs that came out, and I was like, whoa, we're not gonna just speed past it like you didn't just say what you just said. We get to see, you know, them go on dates, but you could clearly tell Kenneth isn't making any type of connection with nobody. But Shorty over here is going on 3-4 dates with the same guy, getting connected. The guy starting to like her too. And he's just like, so what we doing? That was really, really wild. She went on 4 dates and you could clearly tell that she was having fun too with this guy. But at the end of the day, she did decide that she wanted to kind of end it so that she could focus on her and Kenneth's relationship. But oh child, at the end of it all, they didn't have no relationship, honey. I was like, oh no, that escalated so quickly. But to be fair though, I think there was issues on both sides, like I said already. And when it came to, for example, Shorty, she did and said a lot of things that were very condescending, and it could very much so diminish someone's confidence in themselves. And it's almost like she would say it to kind of like jab at him. And one thing I want to mention that I've noticed, you know, that I've talked about quite a few times on my main channel as well, because like I said, I talk about a lot of like relationship stuff and all that. One thing in particular that I've seen a lot of is women making more than men financially, and them being the breadwinner of the household. They're paying all the bills, and the guy is still making money, mind you, but definitely not on the same level as the woman. And it's almost like they are treated as though, number one, they're children, number two, they're just a loser. They get treated very interestingly by both, more often than not, the partner themselves and also society, because they're looking at the guy like, okay, you got your woman paying all the bills, it's time for you to step up. But then at the same time, it's just like, well, I mean, she kind of knew what it was when she got with me. Like, I was making 45 to 50K a year. I mean, you know, she would say things like that about her being the breadwinner type of thing, but she would say it in really just weird ways, and it would just come across as though she just doesn't like him and feels as though he isn't doing enough. Like the burden is all on her in a way, and he's just a loser. And there was one particular moment, I think Kenneth had went on a date with someone, and I think he had mentioned the fact that he kind of liked the chick or something like that, like the girl. And I can't remember who said something before to lead Shorty to say this, but Shorty ended up saying in response that Kenneth likes girls that are out of his league. And I was like, that sounded really weird. So she said that, it was so awkward. All the other couples were even looking at her like, why would you say that? Are you saying that he's a bum? Are you saying that he's a loser? It came across really, really weird. I did not like the sound of that at all. It was just very, very condescending. One other thing that I would like to mention though, that in response to that, he would really take it there. He would really get really petty too. I just realized I should have put my eyeliner on first. This is why I can't talk and do makeup, but I'm forcing myself to do that in this video. Like I said, Shorty, she definitely said a lot of condescending things, which is why I think a lot of men in general tend to stay away from women that are making significantly more than them. It's not really a matter of intimidation. It's usually, believe it or not, from what I've heard from men themselves that have been in those relationships, it's not really intimidation. It's how these women would make them feel. They would make them feel like utter garbage. It's just like, why would you want to stay with someone that's repeatedly treating you like you're just trash? That's why I think ultimately Kenneth would kind of reach that level of petty and say things to kind of get back at Shorty a little bit. But I think that was also kind of his issue as well, that he would even let himself get to that point and let it be her that pushes him there. One moment that was kind of like the downfall, or the turning corner of their relationship that led to the downfall anyway, was when they, I think, were getting close to the time where we kind of have to figure out, or at least the guys would have to figure out, like, you know, do I really want to marry her? Like, do I want to propose? They had gone on a date, I believe, and you could see that Shorty was trying to have a serious conversation with him, like, hey, you really need to figure out what you're going to do financially in terms of building wealth and all that type of stuff, and also like what we're going to do to get to the point where we could feel comfortable enough with marrying and all that type of stuff, right? Because she still didn't really feel secure with him. So she's trying to have that serious conversation, and he's just like giving her a bunch of nothingness, really. Majority of the show, they were dating other people, and now y'all finally get to have a date together. And I could understand how she was kind of killing the vibe a little bit. He was clearly trying to enjoy himself and have a good time. But yeah, she was not on that relaxation type of time, all right? She was trying to figure stuff out. And I personally feel like that was the whole point of the show. So I can't really bash her for doing that. But in that moment, you could clearly tell he was not interested in having a serious conversation, and she was. So that definitely pissed her off, that she was not getting serious answers from him. And I could understand that. So one of the things she'd asked him, like, okay, what's the plan? Like, you know, what type of steps are you doing to get to the goal? Because I think he wanted to do something with regards to, like, his food blog and stuff like that, he just would give answers like, yeah, I'm gonna do better, and you know, the fluff, instead of just getting down to the bone or the nitty-gritty of it. He just was like, I want to show you that I could be the man that I know you need. And it's just like, and if that, this is not what she's asking. She wants to know for sure that this is going to be an okay, successful relationship and or eventually marriage, you know? And he's just giving a bunch of nothingness. So I was like, oh no, I would have lost it. So I had to end up putting my setting powder on real quick. My boyfriend ended up calling me in the middle of my video talking about he bored. With regards to Kenneth, he was given a bunch of nothingness, so I knew that they was gonna eventually have some type of blow up, but I didn't realize it was gonna be this big of a blow up. And it came out of dang near nowhere. And I don't remember how it even started. I think they were back in their apartment. Shorty had started a conversation or tried to start a conversation about something that wasn't really that serious. Or maybe, actually, maybe it might have been. I think it might have been something with regards to marriage or asking Kenneth how he was feeling about getting married or proposing. He just started really just saying a bunch of crazy ish. He was drinking pretty heavily. Okay, pretty heavily. So I think he was pretty intoxicated in that moment. He was just like, yeah, I'm definitely not getting married to a woman like you or something like that. And he said some other really disrespectful stuff. And then after that, she just was like, okay, you could leave then. Pack up your stuff. And she headed right into the bedroom and started packing up his stuff. And he's just around the apartment doing cartwheels and twirling, talking about, I'm free. I never felt this free or something like that. And I was like, this man is clearly super, super drunk. But she continues to pack up his suitcase, take his stuff out the closet, still on hangers, mind you, put all his stuff in garbage bags outside by the door. I'm surprised that Kenneth didn't put up some type of like fight, you know, to be like, yeah, no, I'm not leaving. You're gonna have to call the police to escort me. There was none of that, none of that. He just took his stuff and left. So I clearly could see that they had reached that point where they was like, you know what? We are good on each other. We are good. This is done. You could clearly see as the episodes went on that Shorty was kind of pulling away from Kenneth and that she wasn't really interested in even really marrying him, to be honest. And that's another thing I want to talk about. Let's hop into the reunion real quick. With the reunion, we get to see the couples again after, I don't even know what the time period was, maybe a couple months, because, okay, we actually find out that Otis and Charlie were actually expecting a kid together. That was a huge surprise. Like, she came in with a belly and all. I think she was quite a few months along at that point. Based on how far she was along, they had actually found out that she was pregnant during the show. And I was like, oh, okay. Looks as though they weren't that mad at each other, because clearly you had time to have some relations to create said child. So clearly there was some type of listening going on. At the end, I forgot to mention, Otis had proposed to Charlie. She said yes. And also Alfonso had proposed to Shay. According to Shay, they had actually called the engagement off again. They had separated for a little while because Alfonso actually decided to finally come clean about the relationships that he was having with these women that he was talking to. He ended up, after the show and after proposing and after her saying yes, he came clean to Shay and was like, listen, there were some relations that weren't supposed to happen and it escalated and I did cheat. So that was interesting. They separated, but they got back together and now the wedding is back on. So I'm happy he came clean, but I really hope that he doesn't do that ish again. Moving back to Otis and Charlie, ended up finding out some things about Otis that I don't think maybe Charlie was privy to, but me personally, I honestly think she probably knew. But in terms of what I'm talking about, one of Otis's dates, or the girl that he went on a couple of dates with, it ended up being a little bit more than just Otis getting her contact information and messaging her or DMing her. It ended up being a situation where they actually met up in person in a parking lot. And I'm like, what? She was like, yeah, I have the messages. Charlie's like, oh, I saw the messages. I don't know what you're talking about. Sound like you making some stuff up, right? And Otis just sitting there Like, oh yeah, no, I don't know what you're talking about. In this particular instance though, I personally think that Otis did meet up with her. I really do think that he probably just deleted some messages before he probably showed it to Charlie. Even though I don't believe a lot of people when it comes to, you know, some things that, you know, they would just kind of lie about. But I personally believe that she was telling the truth. I honestly believe they met up in a parking lot. Clearly Charlie was like, yeah, you're delusional. Like, that's the way she was looking at her. That's the air she gave off. Like, you are crazy. And I'm like, Charlie, honey, you know good and well your man was probably up in that parking lot. The fact that he didn't even tell you that he got her contact in the first place from that date, child, that's all I'm gonna say. I had to hurry up and finish my makeup so I could talk. But yeah, I personally feel that Charlie knows that that man probably met up with this girl at the parking lot. But now that she's pregnant and also engaged, she just doesn't care. On to the last couple, Kenneth and Shorty. Everything went array when they got their chance to speak as a couple by themselves. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Kenneth had accused Shorty of wanting to come on the show. She wasn't even really interested in even getting married. She actually wanted to introduce Kenneth to other people so that she could break up with him and it'd be not that big of a deal. I was like, what in the world? That just sounded crazy. Why would you even go through all of that? Just break up with the man. One other thing that was mentioned was the fact that Kenneth was trying to steal money, couple $1,000s from Shorty. That's what Shorty had said or alleged. And Kenneth is just there like, what are you talking about? When I met you, you were like dang near broke. And I decided to move from Louisiana to where she was so that, you know, they could kind of put their like funds together. And I kind of believe that because I feel like he has a pretty strong bond with his family, at least when his brother came in. It looks as though he definitely had something going for him in Louisiana, but he, you know, met Shorty and they fell in love and decided they wanted to move in together or whatever, right? So I kind of believe him. And I do think that it comes to obviously you building wealth, you have to start from somewhere. So I think that Shorty definitely started from humble beginnings and maybe she is kind of forgetting herself a little bit. You never really know. There weren't any cheating allegations. It was just more so like financial stuff. So pretty much similar things to what they argued about on the show, but on a deeper note about him stealing and then her pretty much wanting to come on the show for clout and also to be able to break up with him and set him up with somebody. I'm like, what is going on? So it would kind of make sense because when they invited the dates that they had throughout the show, they invited the guy that Shorty had gone on like 4 dates with, and according to him and Shorty, they didn't really have much communication after the show. So it does seem as though she was just trying to find someone to just date just to get her through the show. After a couple of episodes of Kenneth and Shorty going back and forth, things that Shorty would say again that were very condescending, and even if I was in Kenneth's spot, I would probably be a little petty with some of the things I say as well. And I would look for things to be kind of hurtful with too, because if you're constantly talking bad about me and trying to hurt me, like at some point I'm gonna look for some weakness or some weak area of yours to jab back at. But it does get very childish very fast, so I would suggest you not go down that route, obviously. But that was old Jada talking. That was old Jada. I'm working on it, okay? I'm working on not being petty. I think I'm gonna change real quick. All right, you guys, I am back. I just got dressed. That's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. I wanted y'all to see like the finished look with everything kind of together. I really like this color on me. It looks really nice. I think it's probably because I'm a little more tan than when I bought it. So yeah, it looks nicer. If y'all remember, I did a try on haul with this look. And since I've lost a little bit of weight, fits me a little better. But in terms of the show, child, yeah, it was wild. It was definitely wilder than the other 2 seasons for me. The first one, in my opinion, was boring. It was really boring. But the second, it got a little bit more spicy because obviously the guy in that one couple, he cheated and it was with the person that he was supposed to be going out on dates on, not sleeping with. But you know, that was interesting. But this 3rd season was just wild. Hopefully y'all enjoyed this one. If you did, smash the like button down below. Let me know your thoughts on this season down in the comments. I'd really appreciate it because I like to have discussions about these things. But yeah, I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.